we are down in the pantry starting off the second part of week 2, telling you what we used the first part of week 2 in this Three Rivers Pantry Challenge. And you know what? It's actually quite sparse. We didn't use a lot so far this week, but one thing I will say is the pantry is starting to get some gaps, and some parts are really holding strong, which I'm super impressed with. As many of you know, we're going to be trying to do this for the 2 whole months. We're going to the end of February, maybe even longer if we can do this. That doesn't mean we're not going to occasionally purchase things. As you've seen, we've bought milk, things like that. But hopefully we can make this pantry last until the next growing season. So stay tuned to see how we do on that. But for right now, I'm going to show you what we've used so far this week. So what you're seeing here is what we used in the first half of week 2 of the Three Rivers Pantry Challenge. And it's quite sparse, to be honest. There was a lot of leftovers used, and yeah, I was by myself for part of it. So really I didn't consume very much, but still makes a dent in the pantry and still something that we need to plan for as we look into next year and how we fill the pantry. Breakfast today was simple. We had yogurt again with granola because I made that batch of granola as you saw in the last video. And now we are on to lunch, and we're having lemon basil soup. This one has rabbit meat in it. It's a ground taco seasoned rabbit meat. It's really, really good. And what we often find that we used to do with this was we would add pasta noodles or something, or crackers to it. Now we're trying to avoid the white flour type carb sort of thing. So I'm putting a little bit of rice in there. So I've used my wonderful Pampered Chef rice cooker, which cooks perfect rice every time. Even though we mix white rice with brown rice and black rice, it all cooks up absolutely perfect every time. I love this thing. I've had it for like 15 years. I'm not a salesman for Pampered Chef or anything like that, but that is the one thing that I've gotten from them that I could not do without. So we're going to get this soup into the pot, heat it up, add our rice, and have a very, very simple lunch. And then see what we can get up to for dinner. So dinner tonight, our lamb stew is all ready. We used that squash flour. I did 3 tablespoons for those 2 jars. And you can see it went pretty thick. It's not got the same consistency as a thickened with flour, but it has a wonderful flavor and it's super good for you and it's worth it. And we're also having some of Alex's lemonade that she'd made up. I don't know if that was 1 video ago or 2 videos ago. I'm not sure. I think it was 2 videos ago now. But it's been keeping in the fridge quite well. So we're having the regular lemonade tonight, carbonated with our soda stream, of course. So bon appetit. So as I mentioned in a freezer challenge video, feels like a way back now, I have a whole lot of lamb chops in this freezer. And that's something that we do not eat. They're years old now, and really we just need to get them used up. So we're going to get them out right now because, as promised, I said I'm going to use them during the pantry challenge. Once again, moving things around in the freezer. But this time I did get smart and I did put them up on the top. Let's see, do I have one more? No, I have to dig further for more. So we're going to have these, I think there's 8 lamb chops in there. All right, so last night you saw us take out those lamb chops for today. I know we're eating a lot of lamb this week already. But before we head out to do chores, I want to marinate them now that they are unthawed. But I just want to show you. So there you can kind of see, basically this is what would be termed your rack of lamb. It's those loin chops. Let's see if I can get this one out here. Oh, this is a beauty. Right there. So we're going to, obviously all this is not going to be one meal, but it's better to get them out, get them marinating. The longer they marinate, the tastier they are. So today I'm going to share with you my favorite go-to for grilled chops. Basically, it's lemon juice, olive oil, mint, oregano, salt, pepper. It's really, really simple. Just kind of coat it in those, and when you go to fry it up, that olive oil just works great. I'm doubling this recipe, but it would normally be 1/4 cup of olive oil, 1/8 of a cup of lemon juice, 1 tablespoon mint. Like I said, I'm doubling. 1 teaspoon oregano, 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt, and 1/2 teaspoon of pepper. Basically, I try and put the meat kind of down in there, and then we're just going to pour this over top. And throughout the day, we're going to make sure that we come and move these around and mush them in and flip them so that they all get exposed to the marinade. I knew I was forgetting something. Garlic, of course. So we need to put 4 cloves of garlic into this as well. I've already poured it on the meat, so I'm just going to kind of put it on top And as we turn this throughout the day, it'll get mixed in. Well, we are in from doing chores and doing a bunch of stuff outside on the farm. It's a kind of a really weird blizzard going on. But anyways, we're going to find out exactly what this is. We pulled this out of the freezer the other night for our freezer challenge video. And I think it's chili. It's definitely a few years old. We're going to make that up for lunch. And at the same time as making up that, we're going to also toss these chops around in the marinade so that different parts of them are being marinated. Well, I ended up having to move the chops out of this little circle thing because they really weren't getting submerged at all in this sauce or marinade. So now we've got them all put into a nice little flat tray, and I'm just kind of pouring the stuff on. So now we're in business. These are going to be amazing tonight. And as a teaser, we're going to have them with squash fries. And probably some veggies too, because we should have veggies. So definitely chili. We've got some wonderful pepper jack cheese on there. And we did put some nachos on because it's a little bit runny. I'm not sure when this recipe is from, but I'm going to give it a try. It's a bit warm. I really heated it up just in case because, you know, don't want to take any chances, but I'm willing to try it. Oh, it's good. Passes inspection. It's quite sweet tasting, so I think I've put quite a bit of chili sauce in here. So anyways, time to enjoy some lunch. So now it's time to make a wonderful dinner. Lamb chops, beautifully marinated, and wait for it. We're breaking out some mint jalapeno jelly 2018. That's some old stuff there. It's going to be well seasoned. With it, we're going to be having broccoli and carrots steamed. The broccoli is still left over from New Year's when we went out, so it's finally time to get that used up. But the part I'm most excited about, well, I don't know, the lamb's pretty exciting too, but part I'm most excited about, I think, is having some squash fries. Squash fries are one of my favorite ways to use these Canada Crookneck. You get lots out of them, and it's super tasty and yummy, and they come with dip. Yes, there is dip with them, and it's a really good dip. I'll share the recipe. Anyways, so let's get started on making these squash fries because everything else is pretty much ready, and that's going to take the longest part. Too much, or are you feeling hungry?
It's probably good.
Yeah? Let's do it then. First thing we're going to do is get it peeled and cut into nice matchsticks. Then I coat it in a little bit of cornstarch, some spices, and into my air fryer in the oven it goes, 425 for about 20 minutes. So as we're spreading these out on our baking sheet here, one thing I did want to mention, and I didn't do it this time, often I will cut up the squash and then cover it in salt and let it sit for 15 minutes, and then use a paper towel to get the extra moisture off of them, because it's surprising how much moisture is in these squash. And that will give you nice crispy fries. We might not get super crispy fries this time. We'll just have to see how it goes. So while our squash fries are getting going in the oven, and before we start cooking our chops, we're going to make this kind of, it's like a garlic aioli kind of dip. I have a half cup of mayo already in my container. We're going to add 1 tablespoon of lemon juice, 1 clove of crushed garlic, a 1/4 teaspoon of thyme, 1/4 teaspoon of onion powder, 1/4 teaspoon of smoked paprika, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and really the pepper is to your taste. I usually do about 1/8 of a teaspoon, and that's it. Now we're just going to stir it all up and set it aside until we're ready to eat. All right, so it's time to get these chops, well, not on the barbecue, but on the grill, if you can call a cast iron pan a grill. So I've got my pans heating up. You can see the smoke's already coming. Ooh, this is what happens when I'm trying to film and cook at the same time. Want a little bit of butter in there. Don't go smoking. I already shut off the smoke alarm, so we should be good. All right, so we've got some butter in the pan melting. We want it kind of sizzling, not smoking though, which is what we're on the verge of. And then we're just going to put our chops in. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to cook these for about 6 to 8 minutes on this side. And then we're going to flip them and cook them until we get an internal temperature of 145. Usually it takes about 4 to 6 minutes, depending how thick depending how thick your chops are. So, oh, listen to those sound effects. All right, woo, that's hot. It is time to give these guys a little flip. We'll just set them on top of there. It'll work. This is very, very hot. I should be using my new oven mitts. It doesn't always work out perfect, flipping them, but a little bit is better than nothing. And then we're going to put them back in for probably another 10 minutes. We're at the 10-minute mark now, which should end up timed perfectly with our lamb chops. All right, these guys are ready. I actually shut them off at a little over 130 so that they wouldn't get too well done, because they do keep cooking in the pan. But look at that. Look at this side. Squash fries turned out pretty good. Not as crispy as they sometimes do, but like I said, I didn't salt them first. So we're just going to get them onto our plates. It's restaurant style. I even put the dip in a little cup. And there we have it. Just for us tonight, Chris and I. And as you can see, we still have plenty of chops left for tomorrow. So stay tuned to see what we do with sides for those lamb chops tomorrow night for supper. And for dessert, our wonderful squash pudding made with old butternut squash and some crabapple liqueur made right here on the homestead.
Well, we're having popcorn for breakfast, but it's not exactly what you think.
Our popcorn is all popped. We probably got about 4 cups here. So now it's time for breakfast. No. We're using the coffee grinder, and away we go. The one downfall to popcorn is it's very staticky and goes everywhere.
We're going to try grinding some of the millet we grew this year and add that to the pancakes a little bit. So we're going to see how this goes. Usually these pancakes have sorghum flour mixed in, and we have more millet at the moment, and we don't have any more flour that we've bought for the sorghum flour. So we're going to give it a try and see how it goes. Millet goes in.
And hopefully it comes out.
Hopefully it comes out.
It's grinding it.
So the millet is grinding amazing through this. So, spoiler alert for anybody who maybe follows along on our Hickory Craft channel. Millet is definitely staying in the garden. Sorghum is staying, but there's a discussion on that. And popcorn is going to be a huge thing, because even though we can't grind it through here, we can still grind into a really nice flour.
And there you have our 4 cups of popcorn flour mixed with, it should be a cup of the millet or sorghum flour, but we only got 3/4 of a cup, but that's okay. We're going to try it and see, because there's just the 2 of us today. So I might do a little bit smaller batch, but now it's time to get on with the rest. But we're not going to share all of the rest in this video, because I really want to do this one as its own recipe video. This is something that I've been tweaking and working on for a little while to try and get these pancakes perfect for you. And I definitely want to make sure I've got them there before I share the recipe. Batter is ready. Our pans are hot. First one's on. Popcorn pancakes with homemade apple syrup. Doesn't get much better than that. Well, guys, as many of you know from past experience with Hickory Craft Farm, that we like to weigh all of our vegetables as they come in from the garden, so that we know how much we grew every year on the homestead, what we brought in to preserve and put into that pantry that we use so much over the winter. Well, this year we've been a little bit slack. And as you can see here, I have 2 buckets full of produce that was sitting out in our porch up until now. This is January 14th, and we're just now bringing it in to weigh and use. Now, don't get me wrong, we've been taking it as we need it, but it's kind of been acting as a fridge. And the next week is going to be well freezing, and we know that the porch will finally freeze solid. And these had to come out, so we're bringing them in, we're getting them all weighed, and we're going to use them in dinner tonight. Not all of them, of course. And last but not least, for the 2023 harvest, was our sugar beets. Now, you might be saying, what do you grow sugar beets for? Well, take a look at Hickory Croft Farm because we have a bunch of videos on what we grow sugar beets for. As stated yesterday, we're going to be eating the leftover lamb chops for our meat tonight. And with it tonight, we're actually going to be doing kind of a roasted vegetable skillet, I guess you could say. In there, we're going to have potatoes, rutabagas, beets, carrot, onions. Basically, I kind of fry it off in a bit of our lamb lard here at the beginning on top of the stove. Get that started, and then I sprinkle it with celery salt and balsamic vinegar, and in the oven it goes for probably about 40-45 minutes, and then it'll be ready for us to have with our lamb chop. Well, as usual, I'm making way more than 2 people need to eat. We're gonna have leftovers, I'm pretty sure, but we're thinking now we're gonna just break up the meat right off of the chops, and we're gonna put the lamb right in with this when it goes into the oven. I think it'll work out perfectly and just be one simple skillet dish. All right, there we go. Everything is all cooked up and ready. We've gone and collected the kids. Now it's time to sit down, watch some Young Sheldon, and enjoy a little bit of a lamb skillet.